Following the crisis between herdsmen and farming communities across the Federation, the federal government resolved to establish grazing reserves and cattle ranches. This is to curtail the movement of cattle rearers, which has led them into people's farm and prepare the path for crisis. Speaking to Newsmen, Agriculture Minister Chief Audu Ogbe noted that 950 million naira earmarked for the project in the budget would not be enough.
950 million is not big enough now for what we want to do. Because the idea then was to improve the grass on the farms, to put boreholes and irrigate, to create milk parlors so that the harvest of milk can be immediately processed, because milk deteriorates very quickly when you harvest it from the cow. That was the fund. Now we're going to use it. We're already buying grass seeds to begin to develop grasses and ranches, some in Ebonyi, some in Osun, some in Enugu, but privately owned. We'll develop for people, support them in developing this, and then the owners will pay a fee, and the cattle herdsmen will pay a tax.
He also responded to remarks from critics who believe that government should not spend any money on issues of cattle rearing since they are privately owned.
People have said, after all, these are private people, why should government get involved? Well, before I went to the ministry, in the last 4.5 years, 4 billion naira was spent clearing land for cassava farmers. We have spent money on cocoa farmers. We spent on groundnut farmers, on wheat farmers, on rice farmers, on bee farmers. So we are also trying to spend a bit on cattle farmers to remove the crisis, because they are farmers too.
Chief Ogbe said a sub-regional meeting has been called to address the herdsmen-farmers clashes, which is now affecting many West African countries.
By November, West African ministers of agriculture will be meeting here to discuss this cattle grazing business, because the fighting goes on in Ghana, Togo, Ivory Coast, along the coast. In the dry season, there's no grass in Senegal, Mali, Mauritania. The cows all marching here looking for grass. And many of these herdsmen have AK-47s. That's the complexity. Once we begin to deal with our own, we have to make the West Africans do their own so their cows don't come in here.
The former PDP national chairman appealed to Nigerians to join hands with government in addressing the issue. As the federal government continues to plan to jack up the amount earmarked for the establishment of cattle ranches and grazing reserves from 950 million naira to something lot higher, there are also the categories of nomads who are insisting that they cannot stop moving around because it is an ancestral tradition. Even as you can see behind me, right in the heart of residential areas here in the FCT, cattle are busy grazing. How will the federal government stop this very old tradition is one question that is begging for answers. Ikharo Atta, ITV News, Abuja.